Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of You Had to Be There.
This week's guest, we have the men's golf coach at Missouri S&T, Connor Benjamin. Connor, welcome to You Had to Be There. How's it going?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm doing very well. Other than the fact it's 9:30 on a Friday and I'm currently sitting down for a podcast. But other than that, could not be better. Thank you guys again for having me.
Sorry to ruin your plans.
Oops.
But anyways, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? How did you start into golf? Just your journey.
Yeah, so I have what would be considered a very unorthodox journey to where I am now. I played for four colleges over the course of my collegiate career. I came in from Australia, that's where I completed my high school. And I was able to be fortunate enough to play Division One golf, Division Two golf, junior college golf, and then back to Division Two golf. And then even stranger, after I graduated, just so happened that the head coaching job came available at my alma mater, and turns out I wasn't planning on really doing anything other than getting a master's, and so I figured I might as well get my master's in coach, and kind of take a little dabble at that. So it's been my first year I just finished. We had a lot of success and a lot of growing pains, but it was I mean, it's been a privilege. So,
That's so crazy.
well,
I
I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess the only one that would be kind of similar is Laura, with like with the NIA and D2 or D1 jump, but
Go on, yeah, yeah.
somewhat. Sorry, yes, 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 yeah. Of course, sorry, we are very elitist over here. It does have to be, in fact, Division One, but.
Oh God.
dude, I
What is your master's right now about?
So I'm an explosives engineer. And for those who it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a lot of designing blasts, coordinating behind the scenes. We're very prevalent in the mining industry. We're very prevalent in government work, along with energetics. With my background as a nuclear engineer, with my undergrad, a lot of us go into nuclear weapons, which I promise you I don't really want to do. But there are a lot of uses for my degree, and so it's been really cool to keep taking classes towards that. It's kind of fun when I get to tell people that I just blow stuff up for class.
Yeah.
Dude, does the FBI want you or something?
I'm 100% on a watch list. There's no doubt in my mind about that whatsoever. They do like to keep an eye on us because obviously we have knowledge that shouldn't be possessed by every person on in the United States. So yes, thankfully I've already given away my fingerprints for TSA pre-check. Totally worth the shorter lines, but yes, I think the FBI knows where I am at all times.
How can can you compare like being a head coach to what your like degree is? Because that's like they're so different. Like, is there a way that you can like mix and match this at all?
Not particularly. I would say I am in a leadership class right now. So I am allowed as part of my degree program to take three classes outside of the explosives engineering realm. And so because I'm now coaching and I've transitioned into that leadership role, I have started to take more of, or well, not more. I can take up to three of leadership or business or more so like the ethics side of my master's program, and that's kind of helped me grow as a coach, I think. A lot more so than delving into the most efficient way to blow up a building. That's not really, unfortunately, is not super applicable to golf.
Right.
Not really. What was the biggest challenge transitioning from player to coach?
So for me personally, uh, because it was my alma mater and it was right away, I went from immediately being a teammate to their coach. And that is a very, very tough transition because, you know, the reality of the situation is they've seen me play golf for the last 2 years, and they've seen me hit every bad shot. They've seen me hit every good shot. They've seen me play very bad rounds, and they've seen me play very good rounds. And so, I mean, in a way, it does make me more human, and it does go very far in establishing a connection. But it's for me, I had to kind of ride the line pretty hard between, pushing them a little too hard or preaching ne something necessarily that I wouldn't practice myself. But for the most part, I'm a pretty unique circumstance. So I think for the most part that the transition is pretty easy for most players to coaches, just because I do think each player has their own way of being coached. And, the good thing about playing for a coach, or playing in my case or your case for multiple coaches, is you understand which coaching styles you like or don't like. And so it does make it easier to come up with your own coaching style and, in essence, don't make the mistakes that your predecessors did. And so I was able to take a lot of those lessons with me, into, how I wanted to coach. But I would say definitely for me personally that the hardest part was going from their teammate to their coach. And for me, I actually had to move out of I had to move out of my apartment in about 3 days because I was living with my teammates at the time. And that's about the biggest no-no that you can possibly have as a coach. And so, you know, but like even that was tough because they used to be my built-in friend group. And then now I can no longer be friends with them in that side of things because now I'm meant to be their leader and I'm meant to kind of remove myself from that aspect of their lives. And so that's been really challenging too. So.
Did you receive any like backlash from those players?
No, I would say actually they were pretty supportive as a whole. They've been a great group of guys, and they were the main reason why I came here in the first place. They were just a fantastic group of guys, and um, there was some growing pains for sure where they might not have seen what I was seeing, or I might have had a different vision than what they wanted, which is natural, right? Like I mean, you're not going to please everybody. And, you're obviously going to, like upset whoever's for us in the sixth spot and not traveling to that tournament, and they're going to be pretty upset by that. Um, you know, it was a little more personal than most coaching staff player relationships are, just because I did know each player really, really personally. And so um, but as a whole, they did want me for the job because our school is pretty unique in its composition, being a STEM school and how we run practice and qualifying. So we're pretty unique. And so I was able to come in and just immediately continue that tradition. And there wasn't per se bucking of the trend or this big shock, across the program. It was just, oh, it's just a guy that we've had on the team and he knows exactly what to do and like what we're doing and how to do it. And so I think they were, like, pretty appreciative of that. And they spoke very highly of me to my now boss, like my athletic director. So I do have them to thank for my job. So, yes.
It's nice.
That's great. How do you balance your master's degree while being a coach? I feel like you have so many classes and you have a really hard master's to do.
I
How does that
don't
work?
have a lot of free time. I I usually work somewhere between 60 to 70-hour work weeks on my own. And then I'm usually, for my master's, usually about another 10 to 15 hours a week on that. And so, yeah, I don't have a lot of free time, but I do enjoy what I do. And, for me, it's what I want to do. And I know that both of these things are exactly what I want in life. And so, you know, I just gotta kind of grit my teeth and do it. And thankfully it's gotten a little easier. I've got my 27 class almost finished. And so
There
a
we
lot of
go.
my job is phone calls. And so thankfully I think I'm gonna start saving a little bit of time, and I also thankful. I'm really glad I did this. I saved all of my practices from my first year, and I saved all of our workouts. I saved all of our tournaments and like where we stayed and what we ate, and I've gotten a little better at just coaching in general. And so hopefully things will run a little smoother next year as opposed to this year. But yeah, I just don't have a lot of free time.
With you not
That's
having,
tough, but we appreciate you being here.
yeah.
Oh no, I no, like it's a summer. It's a totally different ballgame in the summer. I'm actually, like I'm doing some caddying. I'm doing a lot more playing, this summer in tournaments. But yes, no, I will always make time for you guys.
Appreciated. With you right now, I'm mentioning that you're playing in some events. How do you like obviously you still practice, I'm assuming? Like do you have time to do that? Do you miss being on the player side of things versus coaching? How does that feel for you?
I do. I think that's probably the hardest part of my job is having FOMO of them playing tournaments, and I have to sit there and watch them miss 4 footers, and it's like I I hate doing this. It's not so much like that I hate it. It's like you have to trust that you're teaching them the correct things, and they're going to go and execute, no matter what. And so it does hurt in the moment because you don't have any control over the outcome anymore. It's just you just hope that the cards fall your way on that day, and your guys, you can trust your guys, to do the right thing, and you've worked on the right things, and you've done your practice round correctly, and so I do enjoy that side, but I do try to practice. How I usually split up my day is I usually start work at, like I'll go to the gym at 6:30 in the morning. I come back, eat breakfast, shower, start work at 8 o'clock, take phone calls, answer emails, deal with, expense reports, fundraising, kind of whatever pops up during the course of the day. And then starting at about 11:30, I'll head to the golf course. I'll spend about an hour and a half practicing on my own game. And then practice for us starts at about 1 o'clock. And then we show up in sections. So we're pretty unique where most schools, I'm sure like you had this, where the whole team would show up for one practice time and then you'd all go home. We kind of split it up into 3 sections because I have a bunch of engineers on my team and they got crazy schedules. And so we have a 1 o'clock group, a 3 o'clock group, and a 5 o'clock group. And so I'm at the course with them from like 1 to 7. And a lot of our practices are either team-based or partner-based. And so I'll occasionally jump in to a practice, if they need to fill out a spot. But for the most part, I'm usually there to observe and, help facilitate kind of what we're trying to accomplish. So I try to get work done before, but then if we're on course and we're doing a proximity drill, I'll kind of go out there with them and see how I can do, and if coach's drill is completely unrealistic or if it's, are we actually doing an achievable goal, right? And so, I would pick and choose kind of when to jump into practice. And I do love for qualifying in the last round, jumping into the 4, 5, and 6 spot and just playing with the guys who are right in the mix for that last qualifying spot because I want to see how they handle pressure. If I'm going to make a coach's pick, who am I going to pick? And for me, it gives me a really bird's eye view of the 3 guys who are playing and how they're kind of responding to the pressure of that scenario.
Yikes. That's
That's great. I think that's very interesting. And you mentioned that you would play with them. Do you think has coaching made you more empathetic towards athletes or less? Because you already went through it.
You're probably gonna hate me for this, but I'd say less. It's amazing how fast you forget what it's like to be an athlete. Because as a coach, you're just going through and you're setting the schedule and you're just like, yeah, he's got this. He can make this time, no big deal. This is no big deal whatsoever. Like we can be gone for 10 hours, on a Sunday, because we're driving out and we're practicing and then they're doing optional practice after. And it's like, yeah, like no big deal. And then you guys come back to you after that, like after the weekend, they're like, Coach, I got 3 exams on Monday. I need to take the day off. And you're just like, oh, yeah, I forgot you guys do that.
Well,
So
I'm sure it's like hard to be like empathetic when you also have class. Like you're coaching them, managing to practice
True.
and go to class. Like I think about it, like I mean, you have 3 jobs, right?
yeah, true. I'd probably say that. But at the same time, eh, everybody's at a different stage in their college careers. And, I've had 7 years to figure out my schedule. And so I've got it down to a T where I can divvy it up and I can split it up really nice. And I know how to get work done, when to get work done. And some of these kids, and I just have to remember that, is like some of my team are only 18, 19 years old. And so, and it's just being more empathetic on that end. More so of just accepting the fact that they're not going to do everything perfect, and I'm not going to do everything perfect. And, but showing grace in those situations. But as a whole, yes, it was kind of a rude awakening because I got 2 months into the semester and I was like, why are why do they just keep texting me that they can't or that they're showing up to practice late and then it was like, oh, they have a research meeting or oh, they have an exam at 5 o'clock or oh, they have a group presentation or a group project. And just a year ago, I was the one asking for these leniencies and I didn't think anything of it. And now I'm on the receiving end and I'm like, well, what do you mean you guys can't show up? And it's like, no, they're doing the exact same thing you were doing. You've got to be a little more empathetic towards their situation.
Yeah. With that, like, is there something that athletes spend like way too much energy like worrying about that you as a coach like genuinely like don't care about? Like,
Is this in the context of when they're on a team at the program, or is this more from a recruiting standpoint?
let's go both actually.
Oh, okay. Um, from a recruiting standpoint, I would say um, players spend a lot of time obsessing over scores. And I mean, it's natural,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, everybody wants, obviously a 72.2 scoring average looks better than a 73.5 scoring average. And, for some coaches, that could mean the difference between a full ride and a half scholarship or a half scholarship and a walk-on. You know, But hopefully, and this is how I look at it, is, scores don't matter as much if you trust yourself as a coach and you trust the player to get better, under your tutelage. And that's the ultimate end goal of college sports is as a student athlete, you find the right player or the right coach as a student athlete, and together you work to get better, to get the best out of you for those 4 years.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I would say we start chasing, numbers. But for me personally, when I look at a tournament, not every tournament's created equal. Each tournament could be the scoring average in the field could be 85 because it's raining cats and dogs and it's blowing 30 miles an hour, or it's the easiest golf course on planet Earth and it's 70 degrees and sunny with no wind and every pin's in the middle of the green and you're playing from the reds. And it's like, how do you compare these two scores? And so that's what I try to tell my recruits in general is, your goal is to keep trusting your process. And, you know, if you think that you're going to be a good fit here, and I think that you're going to be, like a good fit here, there's no reason why we can't succeed together. Um, and then I would say on the team, I think, hmm, wow, that's a really good question, actually.
Haha.
What do you think you as a golfer spent too much time on during your career?
Um, Yikes. No, you're just switching it back to me.
Yeah.
See, it's not an easy question. It's not an easy question.
I think actually, like what you said, like I spend too much time worrying about. like hitting the perfect shot or like just trying to be perfect in general, whether that's like on the course or trying to hit a specific number. And it's like that's not gonna happen. Like you're gonna have good days and you're gonna have really bad days out there. And like you just have to just trust that what you're doing is the right thing. But yeah, I think just I'm too much of a perfectionist, so then I get too much in my head and then it's like hard to get out of there. So great.
Right. What about you, Lara? What did you spend too much time obsessing over?
I think I would say I would obsess about just performing. I think I was injured quite a bit and I just didn't meet the expectations that I had in my head for like my senior year. So I think I was just obsessing over it and then I could not practice as much, so that would limit me. But I think I also just wanted to get that perfect result or like get that match so we could have a better position. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, it's tough. I do think my guys do that too, and I mean I'm certainly guilty of it. It's really hard, and all my best rounds are when I don't care what I shoot. It's just I just trust what I'm doing, and I go out and I stay in a positive or neutral mindset and let the golf be golf.
No, that's so fair. Going back to recruiting, um, what's like a red flag for you as a coach? Like you just see them and they're like, yeah, that's not a good fit for what I'm trying to build.
Hmm. So I think each coach has their own vision for what they want for the program, and I do think each recruit has their own vision for what they want out of their collegiate experience.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, some kid, some recruits just want to go play Division One ball, and some recruits would rather drop down and compete for a national championship. Some recruits just want the best facilities possible, and they don't care where they play. Some recruits want a certain part of the country. Some recruits want a certain climate. Some recruits want, and I mean the numbers are. I mean, and, yeah, the options are endless. But I would say for me is when a recruit comes in and is very upfront and honest with me about what they want, and I would turn around and tell them that this is probably not going to be your best fit, and then they would still find a way to try to make it work, even though in their head I already know that they're thinking I want out of this, and it's not going to be a good fit. Like I know too is the last thing you want is to give them give them an expectation and then them being okay not having it, and then them getting here and not having it, and then it really becoming a problem. And that for me, I wouldn't say so much, you know, but again, like I think in general, you do have a team culture that you're trying to build and uphold, and you have, you know, your players have goals for what their collegiate careers look like, and you know, it's just if it's not a great fit, and that's natural. I mean, I went through countless schools trying to find a good fit, um, and that's completely natural. And so, the good news is there's, between Division One, two, and three, and I mean even NIIA too, and junior college, there's probably about 1,500 schools that you can pick from. So eventually, you're gonna find the right fit.
That's so true. There's too many options.
Way too many out there.
Yes.
Going up to the opposite of the question, what's something that instantly makes an athlete stand out for you?
Mm. I can speak from golf, but I think it's your demeanor on, like on the golf course. How you treat yourself on the golf course is very important. And I've gotten better, very guilty of this as a player. I have had some of the most negative self-talk possible.
Mm.
And to me, when I look at that in a recruit, it almost comes in a self-defeatist kind of attitude where you're not. you're just not happy with anything. And unfortunately, that's just not how you can play golf. And I'm sure you can speak on the tennis end. You can't play golf ang or like you can't play tennis angry. Like you have to be, you have to show yourself a little bit of love.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
I
Fair.
mean, obviously, yes, like you can get fired up and that's completely natural, but at the end of the day, you know, for us as golfers in particular, it's impossible to have a good day if you're angry or mad or upset with yourself. They actually mic'd up a Corn Ferry Tour player, which is our subdivision of golf, and it's still a professional circuit. And they actually monitored what he said throughout the whole tournament, and it was 35% positive, 40% neutral, and then it was 20%, I think they labeled it curious, and then it was like 5% negative. And it was this very moderated, self-emotionally regulated. And to me, that's kind of that sets you apart in terms of your maturity, as well on the golf course. You might not be the most talented, but you're going to come in and work really hard and you're going to have the right attitude about it. And so that to me is a huge bonus to any student athlete is, being willing to have the right mindset and being willing to be loving to yourself while you're doing what you love. And it's very hard. It's not easy. And I can speak from personal experience on that, but you know, it's just it's very tough and unique to find in a student athlete. And so when you do find it, that's when you know that they're going to be an asset to your team.
Yeah. If a player spends 4 years under your coaching, what would you hope they leave like the program with besides athletic improvement?
I hope that they would be, I hope that they would have gotten the maximum out of their college career. And that means that they're the best person possible. That means that they've positively contributed to our team culture and that our team has had a positive influence on them. Um, I would hope that they walk away with a degree that they can use for the rest of their lives and they'd be able to make friends for life, as like with their team. To me, the athletic part is just a bonus. For me, what I mainly took away from college was I now have a built-in friend group for the rest of my life after I stopped coaching them, I think. But once, for now, I still have to be their coach. But for the future, I would definitely say I have a friend group for life.
What's something sports gave you that had nothing to do with winning?
Ooh, wow. Well, I do play golf, so patience. I have a lot of patience. Unfortunately, well, sometimes fortunately, sometimes unfortunately, but sports gives you a place to belong. Um, when you're put on a team with people who are of a like mind and they not only want the same things that you do, but they have similar interests and you spend 4 years living with them and you know, you spend most of your days with them, then for me, I came away with, you know, not only a degree that is going to help me for the rest of my life, but again, just back to the friendship and camaraderie. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I'm sure we all have stories from our tournament travel days or trips where we're, getting Waffle House at 2 in the morning, the day after a practice round, and your coach is sitting there texting you like, "Where the heck are you?" This didn't happen. I'm totally making this up, but it's
Yeah, just like
each.
I didn't go out to bars. Like
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I sure as heck didn't go out to a casino with my roommate and his
me too.
long-term fling. Yeah, it just randomly happens like that. You never know. But those stories are something that I'm going to be able to tell to my grandkids, like one day, and they sure as heck make very good bar stories, which obviously is not the end goal, but it's, it's you come away with a lifetime full of memories, and your team are ultimately what makes that possible.
I think that's a great answer. I kind of like this question because everyone just has something completely different to say. But we appreciate you being here today. Sorry to cut you off earlier, but you know,
Right.
we can always bring you back.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not, I forget. I'm technically not the interviewers here, but because you guys did ask me so many questions, if I do come back, I do get to ask you guys questions.
Fair enough.
Okay. Fair.
No, but thanks again. We appreciate you being here with your busy schedule.
Absolutely. Anytime for you guys. Thank you again for having me, and all the best to you.
Laura?
Thank you for watching another episode of You Had to Be There.
Alrighty. Bye, guys.
Bye.